Huntsville, what's happening, guys? I be Mike.
I'm Will.
And you are tuned into Huntsville Insider. Woohoo! Woo! All right, guys, welcome. We have a very cool show today, but first we'd like to thank Topgolf for giving us a place to sit down and record today. Also like to thank Rocket City Digital for fueling this episode of Huntsville Insider, and also like to thank Joe Orozco, Red One Graphics, for making my shirt. Y'all see that? You like that shirt?
What a shirt. That's a great shirt.
You have an endorsement.
That's right. My first endorsement. This says Mike for Mayor, if you guys are listening to this. I just figured we have a job opening coming up pretty soon. So I figured I'd go ahead and get ahead of the horse, man.
Jump right in.
Well, we have somebody special.
We sure do. Tommy Battle, the mayor of Huntsville, is sitting down with us
All
today.
right.
Not too long ago, we had some big news that
major.
Not just big news for the city of Huntsville, but really big news for the whole state of Alabama, and that is that Toyota-Mazda are coming together and building a plant right here in North Alabama. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know that there's much more of an insider than the mayor of Huntsville. This is Huntsville Insider. So
yeah.
So we're going to get the inside source on the
inside scoop on the inside source.
There you go.
Gotcha.
I love that. We'll coin that. I'm going to make that a T-shirt.
Very good. So yeah, just tell us the inside story. Where did it start?
You know, it really started 10 years ago. We were started off. We competed for Volkswagen. If you remember Volkswagen, they came here. We had a site that we really kind of thought that they might like, and so we took them up in a helicopter, and we said, we were trying to show them the site that was over on this side of the helicopter, and they kind of looked on this other side of the helicopter and said, what about that site? Is that site available? and of course, being the good salesman we were, we didn't know who owned it or anything else. We said, sure it is. So
absolutely, just always agree.
Always, especially when you're talking about 2,000, 3,000 jobs,
right.
And so we sat down with them and we started working through that, and we got in competition, and it was us and Chattanooga,
Mm-hmm.
And we came in second. When second doesn't pay very well in the industrial field, but it put us in a place where we knew what we had to do for the next time. We had an after action, and we started talking about what didn't we have in place that we needed to have in place.
Mm-hmm.
First off, you had to have the land option, so you knew what your price from land was going to be. Second off, you needed to have a sewer system, and about 7 years ago we bought that sewer system out there that now services that area, and we bought it from Limestone County Water and Sewer. You have to have all the utilities. You have to have your compaction test done, your environmental test done, and then we had TVA come in, and TVA did a TVA certification on it, and that was about a 3-year process, and so finally 2 years ago we came up and we were TVA certified, and as we sat there and TVA had worked with us to get certified.
What does that mean? What is TVA certified?
Certified means it's kind of a plug and play site. You've got everything already pre-done. You've done your soil compaction, you've done your environmental, you've got a certification that you've got utilities to all the sites. You've got that the land is available. It's kind of a plug and play. If they say, hey, I want to go to that site, it's ready to go. And so with that certification that we had 2 years ago, Bill Johnson, who's the chairman of TVA, said, okay, I want something to happen here in the next 2 years. Well, he was kidding at the time, and he didn't know what was coming. But when Toyota came along, it worked out perfectly for him.
Yeah. So, it sounds like there's a lot getting that, like picking a site, you think this could be a good home for somebody.
Sure.
Getting the site ready. What else goes into, because you said we were competing with Chattanooga, and I know with pretty much everything there's a competition. What things are you guys as a city government putting together to present to them?
Yeah, we put together, and it's called a full package. We used to do this in the real estate world. You would put together a package, and that package talked about all the aspects that you have to do to develop that site. Is the soil going to compact, and can you use it, and then can you put weight on top of that soil? Environmentally, that's always a big question when we do it. And you go through environmentally bore sampling, and you sample. I think that site had something like 400 borings done on it as you go down 20, 30 feet in the ground to make sure that there's no environmental contamination. You also have to make sure that you know where your electricity, your water, your gas, your sewer is going to come from. You have to make sure that you know where you have to make sure you know where your rail line is going to come in, because they have each of these, especially major industrials, have to have rail lines come in.
So they all have their own specific spur on the
They'll
road?
have their own specific spur. And then, the biggest thing, one of the bigger things is you have to have a road network that will support that site.
Sure.
And, if you've been out to that site, it's kind of 2-lane roads going out there. And we have built Greenbrier Parkway, which is a 4-lane boulevard, and it will continue to go out and then come around to Browns Ferry so that it will connect with 65, and that gives them a good connection. Plus, we're going to also do Highway 20, which is right there in front of Greenbrier Barbecue.
Right.
Take it all the way to County Line Road, so that you've got an east-west and a north-south alternative how to move around.
Is that one of the reasons that Browns Ferry exit was built?
That was one of the reasons the Browns Ferry exit was built, because it could connect back into our mega site. And at that time, we didn't know that we had a Toyota out there that was kind of come along, and we didn't know we had a Mazda. And what a lot of people don't realize, we lost the Volkswagen plant, and we lost one plant. This is 2 plants coming together.
Yeah.
It's Volkswagen, it's Mazda. And the other day when we were talking to the executives who are leading it, they said, well, we're going to bring 4,000 jobs to produce those cars, but you're also going to have another 1,000 jobs coming in from the supplier park. And so the supplier park, which is sitting right there in the middle of the process, it's going to have another 1,000, so you're going to have 5,000 people working right there.
That's insane.
And those 5,000 people have a spinoff of 2.5 other jobs for each one of them. Maybe somebody to work at Top Golf, where they go to, or someone to work at the drugstore or the grocery store, somebody who builds their house. So those 2.5 more jobs that come with those means, that we're looking at probably 17,000 jobs coming off that.
Awesome, guys. That is amazing. And you have to build the structures out there and make sure that the road systems and, like you said, sewer systems and all that can support that many new people out there.
To me, what stands out is kind of the mindset that you're talking about, because when we talk about stuff like this, I kind of try to imagine like what that first meeting in City Hall was like. Where you sit down.
We
said, "Holy crud, this is a lot of stuff to do," and we really did. We started.
It's too much. It's all just taken out.
Yeah, let's take it out. But everybody, really, your engineering crowd, our environmental, everybody really got on it to make sure that happened, and it was, it took 10 years to put it in place.
Wow.
And it took, we have some very good people working with us who have the foresight to say, this is what we actually have to do. And the foresight, I think, is one of the strong things that you have to have in any business, in any, running any government. You have to have foresight. What are the problems that are going to come up in the future, and how are we going to take care of those problems, and what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We went through a zoning process as we went through that, and we had one of the most, we had an economic planner come in and plan what's going to happen with that whole area. So by doing all that, we were ready when Toyota came along and said, hey, they first came, I guess, in August, and they said, we're going to be, we're going to make a decision by December. Well, it got knocked out to January, finally having the decision made, but they were moving quickly. That's the fastest project I've ever seen come along.
Wow.
When, it seems like what they call the incentive package is what usually makes the headlines. This city's offering this amount, and usually it's a dollar figure.
Yeah.
But you don't really think about all the very practical things that has to go into actually getting the site ready. So with Volkswagen, you guys got everything ready, and you missed out.
Missed that one.
Right.
What do you do when you get to work the next day?
And with Volkswagen.
Oh, yeah. That's a great question.
It wasn't a pretty day. It was not in my administration, so I'm kind of glad I wasn't there.
Right.
But, it was one of those that after you lost it, because with Volkswagen, they picked out a site that we had never really even considered. And Volkswagen, we started off from square one. We said, we think we can do this, but we'll have to go get this done. Yes, we think we can do it. We'll have to go get this done. The difference was Chattanooga had a site that was already pre-certified, already ready to go. They were already moving dirt on the site. So Volkswagen ended up going to Chattanooga, and it was a learning experience for us. The next day you kind of shake your head and say, well, we lost one, but then you say, what's the learning experience off that, and what's the after action? What do we need to do to make sure that this site is ready next time? Next time somebody comes in, it might not be Volkswagen, might be somebody else, but whoever comes in, what do we need to do? And during that 10 years, we had a couple of people make runs at that site. We had a steel smelting group that brought in, steel from across the country that was, recycled steel, would bring it in cars, and they wanted to put it there, and then they'd smelt it down, then send back out things. And it really didn't fit our community. It didn't fit what we wanted to do, and we said no to that one. They came back 2 or 3 times, and we said that really doesn't fit what we want to do, because we were waiting for something like the Toyota-Mazda to come, because that's the right thing.
Right. So when did Toyota-Mazda kind of start to come into the picture?
Toyota, we've been friends with Toyota for 11 years. They've had their motor manufacturing plant here.
Yeah, they had it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where that one's Bob Wade Road somewhere
Bob
around
Wade Road out in North Huntsville area.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last 4 years, I've been to visit Toyota each year in Japan. And you go over there and you spend 2 or 3 or 4 days, and you go over there, and really the crux of the whole thing is a 2 to 3 hour lunch that you have with some of their executives, and you get to talk to them, and they want you to get to know their community. They want you to get to know their plant, how they produce and what they do. They want you to know about their society too. And so as we did that, over the last 4 years, never wore a kimono, but I had to sit at one of those low tables and everything else, and it wasn't pretty when I got up.
Did you get your knee hung up on it? Flip the table over?
It wasn't deep knee bends at all. But the most important thing was, that 2 to 3 hour meeting that you had with executives from Toyota, and you got to have lunch with them, and you talked to them about what the future was. In the motor manufacturing, we know that there's going to be some challenges, because nowadays they're looking at all kind of motors. They're looking at electric motors. They're looking at hydrogen cell propulsion type facilities. They're looking at a lot of different things, and they're looking at newer engines that are more highly efficient and get a lot better mileage. So over the next couple of years, we're going to see some changes in that, and that was the primary reason that we were there. But I think that our relationship that we had there helped us.
Right. I mean, and that's something, again, that doesn't really make the headlines, but it sounds like there was a lot of work that went into, how long is the flight to Japan? It's got to be. How long is the flight to Japan? It's got to be
It's a 14-hour flight.
14-hour flight.
It's 14 hours, yeah.
It's so. Is there like a group going? Like, is there a joint effort, or is this just mere battle going to try to?
Usually, it will be our Chamber of Commerce, myself, someone from the State Department of Commerce, and one other person. Usually 3 or 4 group,
so
3 or 4
small,
people.
Targeted group.
Small targeted group.
Building these relationships. And
Chip Cherry's been with me each time on that, and Chip is the chairman of our Chamber of Commerce, and it's really kind of interesting. Chip Cherry, Chamber of Commerce. But Chip has been very, very good, and he understands what it means to develop a relationship with a company. The Japanese companies are so good. They come and they give back. If you look about any event that we have in town, Toyota is a sponsor of, and they do that so that they can be the employer of preference. And when in 2008, 2009, when everybody else was slowing down and laying people off, they idled their line for a little while, but they put their team members out working in community doing volunteer jobs and kept paying them. And that's the kind of company that you want to come to your community. And that was one of the reasons that when we heard that Toyota was involved, and we didn't really know the Mazda folks, and we're going to get to know them. We'll be going over in April to get to know them. But they're just such good community partners.
Right. What's your favorite thing that you experienced in Japan? Favorite thing?
I think the favorite thing, and this is kind of interesting, when they eat breakfast, it's not eggs and grits and the kind of things that we eat. No grits. You will not find a grit over there.
Japan.
Yeah, but they have rice, and they have rice, and they have salmon, and they have lots of other things that are we would kind of consider more dinner food for breakfast, and I really enjoyed that. It was kind of
when they come here, and you say, "All right, here's some grits."
Let's go to Blue Plate.
Usually when they come here, we meet them for lunch or dinner, and as we go to dinner, a lot of times, we've been with the Japanese group and gone to Ito's, and that's been a lot of fun.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah, but you still got to do that getting up and getting down thing, so you have to do it where you're.
Well, all right, guys. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. break, and when we come back, we're going to actually kind of have Mayor Battle tell us everything that we can expect from Toyota Mazda.
We're on the race to the finish. We hadn't gotten
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We hadn't landed the deal.
So we're going to land this deal, and we're going to see how it's going to affect us. So Will, Mayor Battle, Mike, and my shirt will be right back after this word from our sponsors. All right, guys, welcome back. Will and I are sitting here with Mayor Battle, and he is sharing his vision and plan with us about the Toyota Mazda plant that's coming in. We've kind of learned a lot about the pre-prep and flying to Japan and getting to. You want to jump in here, Will? I'm just saying words.
So you got the site ready with another company that you were hoping to land. Toyota was already here. You built the relationship. Spent many hours on a plane going to Japan. How did what we know as the Toyota Mazda deal finally come together?
I think our first contact with them was in August, and they came in August, said, hey, we're looking for a 750-acre site. We said, good, our site's 1,200 acres. Okay, we can do 750 acres. And we're going to put not one car plant on there, we're going to put 2 car plants on there. And we said, wow, that's something different. Said, it's never been done in the nation. And so we started talking to them, and they knew of the Sewell site because it was TVA certified, and we kind of advertised those things. And they said, well, let's go look at it. And so they took a crew out and looked at it and everything else. And over the conversation from August to where it is today, I mean, it morphed somewhat. The first they needed 750 acres, then they needed 900 acres. We said, well, we'll just give you a whole 1,200 acres. And then they came in and said, well, we're going to need more acreage down towards 20, down towards the Greenbrier barbecue. And we said, okay, that's fine. We'll need another 400 acres here, another 300 acres here, and then this land over here we need for Supplier Park, and ended up being, the city's portion of it was 2,300 acres, and
that's a lot of land.
That's a lot of land.
That's a lot of land.
But it also leaves them some capacity to do something extra in the future, and that's one of the things that we're kind of looking at, saying, there could be something more coming there. A lot of their plants, and if you look around the nation, and every car dealer will tell you every time they do one of these, they don't get enough land, because if they want to expand or they want to do something extra on the site, they don't have the capacity. Right. So that's the reason that we said, 2,300 acres, that's great. But in addition, Toyota.
So you're planning for growth, right?
Yeah, we're planning for growth right now. And it's a vision where our vision is that we plan for growth. But I think the most important thing is that they have the capacity to do what they need to do. We know that the automotive industry is going to change. We know that technology is going to change. We're going to have driverless cars in the future. You're going to have cars which have hydrogen cells. Yeah. Well, I've seen your driving. It's somewhat like a driverless car. but the interesting thing is, you're going to have hydrogen cell cars. You're going to have electric motor driven cars, and maybe even have you'll be using other means of power or other means of technology. So as you look at that, the idea that we have more land that we can develop into really sets us up for a great future.
Yeah. So I can't remember. It was somebody in the Carolinas. Who were we? It was like
North Carolina area. Yeah.
They had a much larger incentive package than we did.
Yes. Yeah.
How did we get it? What made the difference for us?
I think one of the things they said, this guy Mike's going to run for mayor.
Mike's going to be running for mayor.
Yeah. No, one of the things I think that they look at is how they can sustain their business year after year. And they're not investing $1.6 billion just so that they can be profitable the next 10 years. They're investing $1.6 billion so that they can be profitable for the next 50, 60, 70 years. And they saw in us, and they they knew that we had, a good education system, and education drives a lot of this because they want to make sure that you have a good, that you will provide a worker that is career ready coming out of even K through 12 who can come out and go straight to the workforce. The second thing that they want to make sure is you have a workforce, and they looked at our labor pools all around and noticed that our labor pool, especially out in Limestone County, covers up to South Tennessee, goes to Coleman, goes all the way over to Jasper, to Hamilton, to Russellville, and all the way over to the Georgia line. So, each time that they had, at the Toyota motor manufacturing plant, each time they have 200 jobs open, they have 10,000 applications.
Wow.
I mean, that's huge.
That is amazing, yeah.
So they want to make sure you have that. They want to make sure that your infrastructure is such that that they can, get their product from the plant out to the final end user. And so that's worked out really well too, because we have invested over the last 10 years, we've invested about $450 million in roads. And as you see those orange cones, as all the people in Huntsville go by those orange cones, that's our investment. And that's our investment into making sure that people can move around and can get from here to there. And they want to see a quality of life. That's why they invest in all the panoplies and the barbecue contests and all the things that happen in our community. They invest in, and they do that because they want to see that we have a quality of life that will attract people here. And when they bring their execs here, their execs will want to live in our area. When they have to attract a workforce, which 7,000 people, they want to attract a workforce to be here. They want to attract that workforce here. So those are some of the decision-making things that they looked at and compared us to North Carolina. North Carolina has a lot of those factors already in place, but I think that the labor pool and the education and the full package that we had made it where we didn't have to put as much up. Because of what we've done, we didn't have to put $1.6 billion worth of incentives up. Our package was right around $800 million, about half that.
So obviously this is huge news for North Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's really big news for the entire state, isn't it?
Really is. The interesting thing is, I was telling somebody, they'll bring in containerized parts. They'll come into Mobile, and the Mobile port will definitely see an economic boom off this. The truckers, the trucking industry in Alabama, whether you're going to be coming from maybe Dothan or you're going to come from Gadsden, that trucking industry will see a boom because they'll be taking all those products from Mobile all the way up to our area, up to Huntsville. But then, your first and second tier automotive manufacturers who like to locate probably 50 miles from the end manufacturer. So they probably won't end up in Huntsville, but they'll end up in Jasper, they'll end up in Gadsden, they'll end up in the Quad Cities area. And those will be servicing those two plants, and you can't stress enough that two automotive plants are going to be working side by side there, which is not done anywhere else in the U.S.
How did that happen? I mean, Toyota-Mazda, why did they do it together?
I'm kind of scratching my head about that too, because they had that plan before they brought it to you guys.
And is Mazda upset because every time it's said it's Toyota-Mazda? Like, I've never heard it the other way around.
Who lost that coin toss?
Well, interesting enough.
Will lost ours.
Right.
Interesting enough, the joint venture is Mazda-Toyota. And Toyota's this Mazda-Toyota joint venture. And what was very interesting as we were working through it, the Toyota team took the lead because they were still forming up that joint venture as we were putting together the site and where we were going to actually produce cars. They had an agreement that they were going to do a joint venture, but they had to put it together and work with each other to do it as we were putting together our agreements. And it was a fast and furious process because you never have these things come together in 5 months. I mean, it's very seldom. I've never heard one of these come together in 5 months. And now their team is pushing to deliver and actually start making cars the end of 20 or the first of 21. which is for building a full automotive plant, having it stocked, having your workforce trained and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very aggressive schedule. Yeah.
Right. Well, especially for something, that big.
Big, yeah. 2,300 acres and building out on the site like that, and want to crank a car out in the end of 2020.
We had to clear those 2,300 acres too, because there were a lot of houses on them, and farmhouses, and there was a gin there, and there was some other stuff. So we had to clear all that off too. So it's been an aggressive project, we would call it. Aggressive means that everybody is pushing as hard as they can, and we're doing everything we can.
So I'm just kind of curious, how far before the actual announcement did you find out we got it? Like, how long did you have to keep that to yourself and
Golly, that'd drive me nuts.
Yeah, we knew that we had it probably, and I'm trying to remember, it's probably a week to 7 days before. But as much as we had it, we didn't have it until we had our development agreement done.
Right.
And if anybody's ever seen a development agreement done, it's just like a contract. It's a contract. We're going to do this. You're going to do that. We're going to do this, that, and other. And it's usually, this one was probably 40-something pages long, and we must have had 40 different copies of it as we shifted it back and forth. And it was a very, very rigorous and hearty debate on, what you would commit to and what they would commit to, because it was negotiations.
Sure.
And we knew that we had it about a week, 10 days beforehand, but the final development agreement finally went, the final copy of it came in at 11 o'clock on, what did we announce it? We announced it on Tuesday night before we did it on Wednesday. And that final copy that everybody agreed to, everybody said, this is it, we're done. That's the one that came through. And then, I can remember sitting there, I was in Mobile watching the national championship game in a hotel room by myself watching that, but I was flipping through the development agreement, because we had to make sure that thing was right, because it's a commitment.
Right.
It's a commitment that you're going to do.
That.
So that you get the copy, and I'm assuming that everybody around your hotel room, all I heard was,
They just thought it was the game.
That's a commercial. What in the world was that?
The first half, it was easy to concentrate on the development agreement. Very easy to concentrate on the development agreement. Second half, I kind of put it to the side.
Oh yeah. Well, all right. So what does this mean for Huntsville? Because we know that your administration, that the mayor's office was in the forefront of this entire thing. So you're coming in. We have a few more minutes left.
Sure.
Tell us where we're heading as far as the plan goes. The vision coming into the plan.
And vision and plan.
I snuck a peek.
Yeah. I think the most important thing we've got to realize is 4,000 workers, $50,000 per worker. It's $200 million coming into the community year in and year out. And that doesn't count the 1,000 people who are going to be working in the supplier plants, which is another, $50,000 per worker, another $50 million. So $250 million worth of payroll coming into this community year in and year out. It means that we have responsibilities. We've got to grow our road systems and our infrastructure system, and that's just part of it.
Well, you can comment on this or not.
Okay.
Either way, I'm going to say it just because it kind of. When the deal was announced, of course you had a lot of folks in, online, talk radio, calling in.
Yeah.
Wow, my business doesn't get a tax abatement and all that. But, you've just outlined, how much money is coming in. And it's not all going to stay at that one plant. If you have a business in Huntsville, this plant coming in, paying people more, maybe even bringing people in to work, that benefits your business.
Yeah, I'm super pumped about it.
They're coming to your restaurant. They're coming to your golf facility. They have more disposable income.
They need to board their
whatever
dogs.
You do. They need to board their dogs or get signs made.
Signs
either
made,
way.
yeah.
But it's $250 million coming into the whole North Alabama area that was not there. And I do hear a lot of small business people say, well, you gave this to them, but what do you give to the small business person? This is part of what we give to the small business person. As we grow that pie bigger and we grow that, your economic pie is this big. If all of a sudden it's grown to this big, if you get a slice of that economic pie, your slice is bigger. And that's the key that we have to make everybody understand is these in manufacturing jobs, they have this spin-off effect, that 2.5 jobs that comes in. They might be at a boarding place. They might be somewhere else. But the interesting thing is that those 2.5 more jobs that come in, which is, on top of 5,000 jobs, is 12,500 more jobs. That is the people that have to be put on to be able to handle that $250 million worth of payroll coming in. And I think that's more of our job. If we can keep that pie growing, and the way we do it is we make sure that we have a reasonable cost of labor. East and West Coast have gotten so far out of whack that they're not sustainable anymore. You can't know that I'm going to make money there. If you can provide a low cost of business here, if you can provide a low tax base here, you can make sure these businesses will be successful year after year after year, and it's a sustainable method. And they will come here and they will locate here, and they will locate in the state of Alabama because they don't have to put up with what they have to put up with on the East and West Coast with the economy growing so fast and their cost of doing business so much that they can't make money.
Yep.
I kind of get chills sometimes.
Like I'm getting it too. I'm looking around the room, and we do have a pretty good amount of people here, and everyone's just smiling and nodding along. Will, you have any final thoughts from Mayor Battle?
Well, real quick, so y'all did a video or put together some kind of video package talking about the Toyota Mazda thing. You can go to your Facebook page.
Sure, TommyBattle.com.
TommyBattle.com and on Facebook to get the full video version of that.
Yeah.
Mayor Battle, I'm just in awe. I mean, it's amazing things that you've done, and like I said, I mean, you kind of get goosebumps with the sticker you have on there running for governor.
Absolutely, man. I get goosebumps when I look at my shirt too. Mike the mayor. Like I said,
we're still going to do this after you're mayor, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. So
I'm going to come take his place. I want to do.
There we go. We'll just switch. So what? Oh, you're going to have your hands full, buddy. So real quick, we want to thank Topgolf for giving us a place. We want to thank all of our sponsors out there. Thanks Rocket City Digital for making this happen as well. And let's give a round of applause to Mayor Battle one more time. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mayor Battle, for coming in. Thank you, everybody that showed up. And thank you for tuning in to Huntsville Insider, your inside source to all things Huntsville.